Hello everyone, welcome to Sentence Diagramming 101. This video is about exercise 7R. So this is reviewing all the sentence types. So we're going to do simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, and then the party that is the compound complex. So we're still in Keanu Reeves territory, so we are going to talk about, another movie of his. What is this? The Replacements, right? The football movie. So Falco was a football player with Ohio State University until he failed in his final game. All right, so what do we have? We have Falco was player, and then that's where he was. And then we have until he failed. So we have an independent and a dependent. What is that? That looks like a complex sentence. And then he failed. And then where he failed was in the game. Okay. So we know we put our independence on top. Happens to follow the order here. So Falco was what? He was a player. He was a player. He was a football player. And he was a player. Oh, he was with. That's where he was, right? So he was with Ohio State University. I'm just going to write OSU right there. If you can fit Ohio State University, you can write it out. Okay. Until what? Until he failed. He failed. And then he failed in the game. It was his game. And it was his final game. And then we just go verb to verb. Until. And it is a complex sentence. Okay. Falco plays with the replacement players during the strike. Okay, well, this is like how he plays, and then this is when he plays. So I'm left with Falco plays. I'm pretty sure this is a simple sentence, right? Only one independent clause. So we have Falco plays, and then he plays with the players. Which players? The players, the replacement players. And then when does he play? He plays during the strike. Okay. The replacement cheerleaders include strippers and a bar owner, and they definitely, they distract the other teams. That is definitely the case. Okay. So we have the cheerleaders include they include strippers and a bar owner, so that's the direct object. Coordinating conjunction, they distract the teams. So it looks like we've got two independent clauses here. So this is a compound sentence situation. All right, but we also have a compound direct object, so I'm going to give myself some room here. So I know I have cheerleaders, I have the cheerleaders, I have replacement cheerleaders. You know, the cheerleaders were replacements too. They include what? They include strippers, and they include an owner. It's a owner, it's a bar owner, and they distract teams. It's the teams, and they are other teams. Cool, number 3. Alright, moving on to number 4. When McGinty calls a passing play, Falco gets scared, and he passes it to someone else. What are you doing, Falco? Okay, so when McGinty calls a passing play, that's going to be my dependent clause. So McGinty calls play, but that whole thing is part of this independent, right? So we have Falco gets scared, and then what does he do? He subject passes it, and then where does he pass it to someone else? Okay, so Falco gets scared is going to be at the top. Falco gets scared, and then he gets scared when McGinty calls what? Calls a play. It's a play. Oh, and it's a passing play. It's a little participle action. And then he gets scared when. And then. And what does he do? He passes it, and then how does he pass it to, ooh, someone else. What do we want to do with that? He passes it to someone, and then the else, yeah, the else is just describing the which someone, the else. Okay. So, do we get all the words? When McGinty calls the passing play, Falco gets scared, and he passes it to someone else. Yeah, okay. Number 5, the new team members learn to be a unit. So, members learn, and then they learn all of this. My direct object, as they begin, what do they begin? To support one another. So that's going to be my dependent clause. When another, they are treated, and then how are they treated? Poorly by the players. And then which players? My goodness, who are upset? Who are upset? And then how are they upset with them? Okay, spacing. So the team members learn to be a unit. Okay, so I have the members. It's the members, it's the new members, it's the team members. And then they learn a thing. And what is the thing they learn? They learn to be a thing, to be what? A unit, a unit. Okay, that's my direct object. And then as, okay, now you've got 2 dependent clauses here. You have an as and you have a when. So in this case, it's as they begin to support one another when they are treated poorly. So they are being treated poorly as they begin to support one another. So we can do it like this. So we're like, okay, as they begin, so we've got they begin to support. Now one another is actually a pronoun that goes together. You could be like another and then put one as an adjective, but one another is just a pronoun, so that works. If you could put it on the same line, it's fine. All right, so that's what they begin, and then they begin that as, all right, as, but then as that happens, they are treated, my goodness, they are treated, and how are they treated? Poorly. And then let's hold here because we've got a when, so that happens when, and then, all right, so just to, oh, and then they are treated poorly by the players. It's the players, it's the pro players, and then those players are upset, right? So you're like, who are upset? And then why are they upset? They are upset with them. Getting into the space of the next one. And then this would be a dotted line, right? From players to connecting that adjective. Now, what kind of a sentence do we have here? Goodness. Okay, so we've got an independent clause, right? Then we have a dependent, and we have a dependent. Ooh, what is that? That is a compound complex sentence. It's a party. Oh, did I do it for number 4? We've got one compound over here, so 2x. And then we also have a dependent, so that is also a compound complex sentence. Okay. Moving on to number 6. Sorry about my messy bleed through. One of the players is deaf, so we've got one is deaf. And when the pro players, so they tease him, the rest of the replacements, they support him. Okay. And then that's a prepositional phrase. Not too bad. Okay, so we have one of the players is deaf. So we have one of players, the, and then is, and then what is deaf. And so we know when the pro players tease him, so we're going to put that over here. So we have the players, we have the pro players, and they tease him, and that was when. And then we have an and, right? Then we know the rest what of replacements, the replacements, and they support him. So in this one, I've got two independents with a dependent. Ooh, another compound complex. I sense a theme. All right. Oh, good. I was waiting for one. So after the angered pro players flip Falco's car, dependent clause, the other replacement players come to help him. So we got players come. What do they come? They come to help. So we got a independent clause there, and then after pro players, what do? They flip his car. So we got a DC and an IC. So this is going to be a complex sentence. Okay, now remember to flip. Put your independent clause on top. So we have the players. Which players? We have the other players. We have the other replacement players. They come over to do what? To help Falco. They flip his car back over. Okay, and then all of that happens after, all right, the other players, right? The players, ooh, they are angered pro players. They flip over his car. Just do F's car. And then when do they do that? They do that, woo, they do that after. So it would be more like that. Okay. I'm going to bounce up here and see if we could get 8, 9, and 10 all on one page. Yeah, should be good. So we have McGilty reminds Falco that Falco has heart. That's right. All right. He reminds, well, really he reminds of this, right? This whole thing. So that's my direct object making Falco indirect. And then that whole thing, Falco has heart, is another clause. So I've got an independent clause inside an independent clause making this a complex situation. Okay, so we have McGinty. And what does he do? He reminds. And who does he remind? Falco. And he reminds him that Falco has what? Has heart. Well, that was easy. All right. Even though, there's my cat again. Even though they are not the permanent team, another dependent clause. So they are team, although they're not. So adverb, adjective. They work, and how do they work? They work to prove themselves. So again, we got a complex here, independent, dependent. Even though we start with a dependent, we always diagram the independent on top. So what do? They work. And they work to prove, and then to prove what? Themselves. And then they are team, the permanent team, not, and then even though. Okay. Did I miss a word? No, we got everything. Okay. They are playing as if tomorrow does not exist, because it doesn't. Okay, so they are playing, and then there's my dependent, right? Tomorrow does not. So, right. So we got an independent and a dependent, another complex sentence. So we have they are playing, and then as if tomorrow does exist. Not as though. Cool. All right, we made it through exercise 7R.